Thank you.
Subscribing.
Card Kaizoku.
This video is sponsored by Nen Garden. Their latest spring collection just dropped, featuring 3 new designs. My favorite one being the whole cake design. Look at all the details. To celebrate, they're running a spring sale. Buy one and get any classic mat 40% off with code SPRINGSALE. Plus, NEN10 automatically saves you 10% at checkout. And you can stack this with my code Kaizoku for an additional 5% off on top of that. This video is sponsored by gumgum.gg. Discover Western OP10 lists and Eastern OP11 lists on gumgum.gg. Updated daily. Be the first to see decks for new leaders as they emerge. With over 1000 deck lists per set, gumgum.gg has all the top strategies as soon as they drop. This video is sponsored by Card Market, Europe's largest online marketplace for trading card games. So in my ban list announcement video where we went over the ban list and the news of the block rotation coming into the game, I mentioned that I took a look at each of the decks and how affected each deck would be after a rotation. Oh, but first let's summarize what a block rotation is. So yeah, they're separating out each year that a set was released into its own block. So OP01 to OP04 is block 1, 05 to 08 is block 2, and then 09 to OP12 is going to be block 3. And then starting April 2026, they're rotating block 1 out, so OP01 to OP04 is no longer going to be legal. With the caveat that if they did reprint some of those old cards into a new set with a block number that is currently legal, you can still use the card and any old version of that card too. They also announced a kind of like evergreen list of cards that will always be legal, no matter which block they happen to be in. And it's the 5 manga rares here, so I've accounted for that in my calculations as well. So far, these are the only 5 cards in this evergreen list. And that also means that 01 to 04 leaders will get rotated out. As far as we can tell right now, they haven't announced any reprintings of those leaders. PRB 02 is going to have these gold versions of the old leaders printed, but none of these are from block 1, right? These are all later leaders. So from what I can see, 01 to 04 leaders seems to be rotating out once April hits in 2026. And then one thing I didn't catch in my ban list video, but now I did, now that I've gotten a chance to look at the data a lot more in depth, it's that starter deck cards also have a block. So starter deck 1 is a block 1 set, I guess, for lack of a better term. And it actually goes up until starter deck, I believe 9. Yeah, 9 is still block 1, but starter deck 10, it becomes block 2. So starter deck 1 to 9 is going to get rotated out. And yeah, promo cards too. I didn't realize that these were separated by blocks either. It goes up to Bellamy, promo 39. From 40 onward, it's block 2 and higher. So 1 to 39 are going to rotate out too. I did not consider that before. I'm not sure if any of these cards are staple, but we'll take a look at that once we look at each deck list. And then we're going to look at exactly which cards are rotating out, which cards are going to be lost by these leaders from OP01 to OP04. Now, I'm using deck lists from the last week 1 billion bounty plus data from the rank sim. And this will just be the deck that has the best balance of play rate to win rate. So it may not be your particular list exactly. This is just a jumping off point to just see a gist of which leaders would lose the most. It could differ 1 to 2 cards different from your list, so maybe it doesn't affect you just as much, but I think we can see the trend at least. So with that out of the way, but I guess I should preface it to say that as far as this graphic is concerned, it's only listing out the OP sets. The part about the starter decks and promo cards, that's just my own assumption, and it would also make sense if it's following the logic here with the block numbering, right? There's numbers officially on the bottom right of the card. So even though it doesn't explicitly say starter deck and promo cards here, I'm going to have to assume that they're also included. Okay, so if that's enough preamble out of the way, and if that has whetted your appetite, it's my chance to ask you to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I do a bunch of analytical videos too on top of gameplay, so this is one of the videos if you happen to be catching it. Okay, so yeah, jumping onto the leader that is going to be hit the most, it is actually OP03 Nami, with 12 cards being hit here, with the leader itself being rotating out. So is Apiss, Kaya Boodle, Mr. Hanger, Impel Down All-Stars, Desert Spada, Usopp's Rubber Band of Doom, Gungam Giant Gavel, Love Love Beam, Deathwing, and then Sanji's Pilaf. And yeah, I even checked Premium Booster 1 to see if it had a different block number for this card. Mine still says block 1 for that, so... But yeah, there's a chance that they could reprint the leader and then Nami's viable again, but... Well, viable in that you can play her, but if she's losing like nearly half her deck, no, more than half her deck, I don't know what you're supposed to do in this case. They're going to have to reprint a lot of these cards. And if they don't, they're going to have to print new support for the deck. because all she's keeping is the Searcher Nami from 09, White Snake from 06, Snake Dance from 07, and then Murder at the Steam Bath from 09. From this version of the deck at least, but yeah. It will be really hard to pit Nami to a future meta where she can still be playable, I think, unless they're really going to hard commit to reprinting all of her support. The next most hit deck is actually Smoker, the OP02 Smoker, which is kind of weird because he has a whole starter deck dedicated to him. So I'm going to have to assume they're going to reprint the leader for him at least, right? But yeah, he loses Tsudu, that's good. That's a big hit. Brand new too. The Searcher for the deck, one of the few Searchers in black, that's a big hit. Hina is an Omega hit here. So is Tashigi. Kobe is more of like a card that you could play out with Gecko Moria, so not too bad. And Gecko Moria is banned too. I don't have him grayed out because I'm only removing the rotating cards, but technically Gecko Moria should not be legal anymore in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Same with Ice Age, but Ice Age is rotating out anyway too. And then you lose the Borsa and Kuzans here. So that's 9 cards in total. 10 cards if you want to count Gecko Moria. The only saving grace is that Tashigi is legal because yeah, it started at 19. Oh wait, let me actually check my physical starter deck 19 cards. Maybe like some of these reprints have a new block number on them. Okay, editor, put in the IRL footage of the starter deck that I opened. Thank you, me. So yeah, I opened up a fresh starter deck 19 for you guys here, so you can see the leader itself. If it would zoom in and it's not be blurry anymore, it says a 1. So it's a block 1 leader, even though it's an alt art version of it in starter deck 19, but Tashigi shows 3, block 3, right? So this is a legal card post rotation. Now here's where it gets interesting because yeah, Kobe and Tsudu are 2 reprints. Kobe, despite being in this starter deck here, still shows a block number of 1. Same with the Tsudu, still shows a block number of 1. So this would get rotated out if that rule about the block numbers is to be followed. Same with the brand new too. Brand new is a block 1 card. So yeah. Just wanted to show you guys I ain't crazy, and I guess since I have this open, I'll build out Smoker while I can still play him for the next 2 years before he gets rotated out. Okay, so yeah, back to the video. Yeah, it looks like the reprints of Tsudu and Kobe in that starter deck 19 packaging still say 1 in their block number, so that would mean that they're rotating out for sure, right? But yeah, you still have Tashigi, which is one of the best tools in the deck. It's just that the leader itself is rotating out, so maybe they'll print a new Smoker or they'll just reprint this leader. But yeah, Smoker is number 2 with the most cards lost here. Third is actually OP02, Edward Newgate, Whitebeard himself. Leader himself is out, Makinos are out, Izo out, Jozu out, Marco, Ninebeard, Radical Beam, and then Bad Manners Kick Horse. The fact that you lose Ninebeard and Radical Beam means that I think this deck is unplayable now. Because yeah, literally the only new card from his own starter deck that you run is the Ace from starter deck 15. Other than that, he's running like the starter deck 21 stuff. So yeah, you lose a Searcher, you lose a 2K. Makino is probably not as impactful in this particular deck, but Radical Beam and Bad Manners are. So that's 8 cards total. Whitebeard might be dead for reals this time, permanently. And then the next deck hit the most is actually PRB01 Sanji. And yeah, I do notice I always forget that this card exists unless it's like pre-release time, so sorry about that if you're a Sanji main. But yeah, he loses Otama, Blocker Chopper, Gordon, the 2K Sanji, Robin from OP01, and then Pell. So that is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards total. This Vanilla Luffy is a block 3 card, so this is still legal, that's cool. Okay, and then after this is Zoro, OP01 Zoro, so you're losing the leader unless they reprint it. Makino would be nice in this like Searcher heavy list with the Kureha and Namis. And then the 2K counter animal, the Super Spot Build Duck Squad. Rush Zoro is going to be hit too. That's going to be a big loss to the deck. The 04 Horn Point Chopper as well as Guard Point. For this particular list at least, I don't run Guard Point in my own personal list, but this is just what the best representative list for this deck is at the moment. But yeah, this is what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards as well. I could see Rush Zoro being reprinted, but everything else is kind of minimally affected. I guess this chopper is actually a pretty big loss, right? Because you can cheat out a Hiking Bear for free. But yeah, that's Zoro. Up next is actually Usopp, a very recent leader, OP10 leader. Actually gonna have a lot of stuff rotating out. But that's like 2 years from now, so maybe not gonna be as new when that time comes. But yeah, losing the Searcher Rebecca, Ideo, and then Bartolomeo, 7-cost Luffy, Gum Gum King Kong Gun, and then Kurita Coliseum. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards as well. The stage card, I would have to assume this is getting reprinted because a lot of cards in the Dressrosa type depend on having a stage out, right? Like the Zoro, if you don't have Kurita Coliseum in the same block as him, what does he rest? The Rebecca leader is rotating out too, so you would have to rest the Usopp leader. That's the only way you could use Zoro if Creator Colosseum is not reprinted, or if they don't print a new Dressrosa stage. The blockers, chump blockers, this is probably a big loss for Usopp too, because he gets to draw off of these dying anyway. So a lot of stall power being lost there, and then you lose a Searcher, and then this Luffy being like a good finisher. I guess that might force you to run the other Luffy. This one here, the one from OP10, because it is Dressrosa. But who knows, we'll see what actually ends up happening. And then the next deck that loses the most is actually Doflamingo. So it looks like 5 cards total. The leader itself, Perona, Kaya, if you do run Kaya. This is just a one of in this list though, so it could actually just be 4 cards actually. And then the 2k counter Mihawk from starter deck 3, and then the Gecko Moria from starter deck 3 as well. Oh, and of course you lose Jinbei, so it's actually, let's just assume they're not running Kaya, and then they're running Jinbei, which get hit, so it's still 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, the rest of the deck is still viable, right? You have the Bounce Law, Puddings, Croc, the Teach, the Weevil, and then the Boa, all from the starter deck, and EB01. So if they did reprint the leader, it wouldn't be too much of a loss. You're just losing like 2k and then draw power, and then the Rearranger. But then you just up the buggy ratio here too. It's actually not too bad at all. The next deck to lose the most would be Shanks. Now, yeah, this is going to be hinging on what type of Shanks you're running. There's so many Shanks lists out, but just from the data that I was able to gather, this version of Shanks loses 5 cards here. Otama, which is pretty standard in Shanks. The Sanji, which flexible. The Rush Luffy here, that can be cheated up by this Zoro, because it's running more of a starter deck 21 build, it looks like. Radical Beam and Red Hawk, these are pretty staple in the deck at the moment, so losing these would be pretty big. Big hit to Shanks. Surprisingly, Green Yellow Law loses quite a bit too. A lot of the old supernovas from early sets, like the Searcher Bunny from the starter deck. Caramel is like a extra copy of the Searcher Luffy because it draws you a card on play, so you lose that. Maybe not as impactful, but you do lose the Blocker Law. This is pretty big because you do need this to replay your Searchers and your Caramels to just draw a bunch of extra cards. You also lose 8 cost Katakuri and then 8 cost Kid. So all green decks have to depend on some other win condition unless they reprint this card. So yeah, just these 5 here. And Katakuri might not even be like staple in the deck too, so it could be 4 actually. Up next is Uta, Film Uta. So she herself is a block 2 card, so the leader itself is fine. But you do lose out on a lot of the film cards from the early sets, right? 2k counter Chopper, the Vanilla Usopp, Brook, 7 cost Luffy, and then 8 cost Kid himself. And Uta is kind of an 8 cost Kid deck, so we'll just have to see. Maybe she'll get like what, a 3rd starter deck that makes her viable again, right? Because she's already got 2. So I don't think they would give up on Uta since they've already committed so much resources into her. She even has like alt arts for her song cards too. So yeah, I would not be surprised if they printed a 3rd starter deck for Uta. Next leader is Yamato, who loses, if you're running the Fortress build, you lose the Bonnie, the Kids, the Izo, and then the 8 cost Kid. You lose the Bonnie Searcher, the Killer Blockers, Izo, and then the 8 cost Kid. So only 4 cards here, and if you're running more of a Wano build with the Momonosuke's and stuff, you're fine, because those are like 06 and above. And then Bonnie loses some of those same Supernova package cards, right? You lose the Searcher Bonnie, 2k Apu, the 8 cost Kid, and Doflamingo. You lose 10 cost Doflamingo, so her top end is going to be sorely lacking. But we're starting to see some of the Bonnies run the 9 cost Zoro instead now, right? This one, so it could just shift to like funnel into Zoro kind of playstyles. Because her mid-range is still solid. You still have Cavendish, Smoker, Carrot. So she just needs a new way to end games. Enel loses 3 cards. The Bedge, oh my god, Bedge is rotating out. That's going to be a relief for a lot of people who hate yellow. And then you lose 8 cost Katakuri and Yamato. So this is actually a really big nerf to Enel, right? Because then his only way to heal is this Ace here, and then the character Enel from EB02, right? This one. So he gains 1 in a set, but then he was going to lose these 2 in 2 years. Would they print any more big yellow bodies that heal? Well, we'll just have to see, because if not, Enel is probably dead in the water. Also, Kingdom Come is gone, so actually he loses 4 cards, because this is a banned card. Next leader is Reiju, who loses Kaya and Queen, but these are 1-ofs in this list, so would you even want to consider it? So maybe it's actually just Red Rock, and even this is a tech card, right? So maybe Reiju doesn't lose anything at all. It's just that this list that I happen to pull does have 3 unique cards that get rotated out. But everything else in the deck, the German package is from 06 onward, so you're safe for another rotation at least. Right, it's 2027 where this will go out. Up next is Black Purple Luffy, who loses the Shirahoshi blocker from starter deck 8. That gives -4 cost on play that you can cheat out with Gecko Moria, which you do lose, so that's 2 there. The 9 cost Kaido from the starter deck is out too, and so is Top Knot from 03. So this is actually 4 cards. But Top Knot, I I guess you could run Gum Gum Lightning, but I think it's strictly worse, right? This one KOs a 6k, top knot bottom decks a 4 cost. So it's whether you want to do it by cost or power. But since you're purple and black, cost is a lot easier to like manipulate than it is power with Gum Gum Lightning. And then Kaido, I guess you could get away with not running this Kaido and just run the other Kaido, right? This one here, you can ramp to it, but it doesn't take advantage of your Dawn minusing. Shirahoshi can just be like a Laboon. It's EB01, what block is that? Okay, it's block 2, so you can just run Laboon instead, but you don't have the Gekkomori to cheat this out anyway for your discard. So this one's going to be up in the air, but he's getting a whole new starter deck of support, so maybe he'll not lose anything from the rotation at all. He'll just get better replacements for these cards. Let's see, starter deck 13 Luffy, BY Luffy loses Gekkomoria and Kingdom Come. So that's 2 cards there already, and then loses Kuzan, which is needed in the deck, and then the blocker Shirahoshi. So kinda, well, he dies to the ban list anyway, so I don't think it matters if the cards are rotating out for the deck. The starter deck itself is fine. All the starter deck cards are block 2. And oh, Sabo is getting rotated out. Oh no, he's not. Manga Sabo is evergreen, so you still get to keep Sabo. They just need to print a replacement for Gekkomori for this deck, but no news of that anytime soon. Okay, yellow Piss Kid just loses the Bedge, 1 card. So actually, yeah, Kid's gonna still be viable. Every card in his deck is new or newer. And then we're moving on to leaders that don't lose anything at all, right? Bella Betty, every card in her deck is OP05 and onward because they're all Revolutionary Army type cards in red and yellow. Then similarly, Purple Luffy, all of his staple cards are block 2 and block 3 and his own starter deck. So yeah, lucky for Purple Luffy, he gets to live. Same with Lim, all of her cards are Odyssey type cards which were printed in like what, OP09 and onward, besides his Usohachi. Yep, that's what it looks like here, 09 and 010 cards plus the Zoro. And then lastly, we have Teach. Blackbeard loses nothing because literally all of his cards come from OP09 and onward. Right, the leader itself, everything else, and then some EB01 cards too, but everything else is OP09, it looks like, and 10 with the Kuzan. And he's getting a new starter deck too. So yeah, now there's some leaders that I expected to see, but I didn't. I'm gonna remove the 1 billion bounty plus restriction and just look at all decks in the last week. Maybe just no one's playing like Boa and Lucci, because I didn't see them in the list. So 1 second as I add that here at the end. So Boa, looking at the last week, all ranking, best deck list here, loses, what is this, 9 cards. Kaya, Blocker Law, Perona as a one-of, Doflamingo. I guess you could consolidate the Perona into Doflamingo. 2k counter Mihawk here, 9 cost Mihawk, the 10 cost Kaido, 3000 Worlds and Gungan Red Rock. I think these 2 are the biggest hits for the deck. Oh, and Jinbei's out too, so it's actually a lot of cards. Let's ignore the one-of, so no Perona, no Mihawk, and no Mihawk. Then let's just say they ran more of some of these other cards, so just trying to soften the blow to you guys, you know? So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with Jinbei. 7 cards total for Boa, getting rotated out or banned. And then we didn't see Lucci, let's take a look at Lucci. Lucci loses Spandam Searcher, Tsudu, Helmeppo, but Helmeppo's probably not going to be run without Gekkomoria, and this card is gone. Ice Age is gone, 16 Pistols gone, Khalifa and Kaku are gone. This is going to be a big hit because they need the CP support from OP03 here, and then the Uta as well being rotated out before it could shine. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 cards rotated or banned out of Lucci. Actually quite a lot. There's also Katakuri, the leader itself is getting rotated out along with Bedge and 10 cost Big Mom. Finally! This card's getting kind of banned, right? Rotated out. So yeah, it loses its best top end card in the deck, and Bedge. That's actually a pretty big hit. So that wraps up the analysis that I wanted to do in this video. We took a look at like over 25 deck lists and how they're going to be affected with the rotation. Given all the information that we have as of today, as of March in 2025, there's only 5 cards that we know are in the evergreen list. They haven't announced any reprints just yet. But they did announce that they intend to, we just don't know what they are yet. So just based off what we know today, these are the decks that are most hit or least hit. So I hope that was interesting for you. Let me know if your deck got the worst of it or not, or if you're able to escape scathe free. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the video. I would love some feedback if you want more stuff like this. I do want to lean into more of my like analytical videos more. Let me know what you guys want to see more of, and I'll try to cater to it if I can, if I feel like it. And yeah, check out my other videos if you haven't. I guess that's it for this video. Bye!
Kaizoku.